Los Angeles lost over 53,000 residents in a year. It was the biggest population drop of any other county in the entire United States, according to the US Census. But where exactly is it happening? Some of these neighborhoods are going to surprise you. My name is Eddie Fallah, luxury real estate agent right here in Los Angeles. Today I'm going to walk you through 5 specific neighborhoods where people are leaving right now based on real data and research from 2025 and 2026. I'll also tell you where a lot of them are actually going, because most of them aren't going as far as you may actually think or hear about in the news. Stay with me for number 5. That one is a completely different story than anything else I'm going to talk about in this video. Let's get into it. But before we do, please make sure you subscribe to this channel, because I love talking about Los Angeles and all the other different neighborhoods and what's going on in your city today. Neighborhood number 1, downtown Los Angeles. We're starting with the one that genuinely surprises people, or it may not if you've lived in downtown Los Angeles over the last 10 years. On paper, downtown should be one of the most exciting places to live. Every city I've been to has a downtown that's bustling, it's the best place to be in the city, and it's not the case here in Los Angeles. Even though you've got world-class restaurants, beautiful architecture, a real arts institution, a metro system that actually connects you to places. For a window of time, there was real momentum here. People were converting old buildings into really sick lofts. Developers were betting serious money on downtown Los Angeles. And there was a genuine belief that downtown was finally going to become what it always had the potential to be. But here's what the data shows right now. Research firm Avison Young found that roughly 1/3 of commercial spaces in downtown currently sit empty. 1/3. That's not an insignificant number. The historic core alone has over 100 vacant storefronts. That's a higher commercial vacancy rate than Detroit. The city launched an emergency action plan in late 2025, literally called Revive Downtown LA, just to address it. Residents who have stayed throughout the hardest years describe a slow erosion in quality of life. People who moved downtown 5 or 6 years ago with big expectations, a meaningful portion of those people have already moved on. And here's what's interesting about where most of them went. They didn't go very far. A lot of them moved to the West Side, Santa Monica, Culver City, Mar Vista, West Hollywood, neighborhoods where the street level experience actually matched what they were originally hoping for downtown. Others went to Silver Lake or Los Feliz, which still have that walkable urban energy without the same challenges. Now, downtown has a real case for its future. The 2028 Olympics are going to bring serious investment here, and that's genuinely promising. But right now, in 2026, it's on this list. Neighborhood number 2 is Inglewood. Inglewood is a story that doesn't get enough honest attention because it shows how a community can be transformed around its residents rather than transformed for them. The pitch to Inglewood was simple. The stadiums are coming, and they're going to lift this city. SoFi Stadium, the largest NFL stadium in the country. The Intuit Dome for the Clippers. Billions of dollars of investment landed right here in Inglewood. And honestly, some of that did happen. There was new restaurants, hotel developments, a city that suddenly had a global profile that it never had before. But here's what else happened. Rents went up. Some residents received notices that their rent was more than doubling. Same apartment, no renovations, no new improvements, just a new number that reflects exactly what they were getting before. This number was a direct reflection of what investors were now willing to pay for proximity to those stadiums. About 2/3 of Inglewood residents are renters. And Inglewood, unlike much of the rest of LA, has no rent control laws to protect them. So when the money moved in, they got pushed out. In the years since the stadium development accelerated, 6 public schools have been shut down, all in the neighborhoods closest to the new venues. Officials point to declining enrollment, but that declining enrollment is itself evidence of how many families have already left. It's a chicken and the egg situation, city officials. Researchers who study stadium development have consistently found that residential areas near major venues see higher rates of displacement among the communities that were already living there. Inglewood is living that reality right now. So where do those families go? A lot of them move south into the South Bay, Hawthorne, Gardena, Carson, or east into Compton and Linwood. It's not dramatic. It's a slow, quiet shift of an entire community to the edges of where they used to live. Neighborhood number 3, Venice Beach. Venice Beach is probably the most iconic city on this list. The canals, the murals on every corner. You've seen Venice Beach in plenty of movies growing up. I'm sure you have. The performers, the bodybuilders, the street vendors. That energy is genuinely impossible to replicate anywhere else in Los Angeles. For decades, Venice attracted a real mix of people. Artists, surfers, longtime working class families, tech workers, all somehow coexisting in a few square miles right on the water. But that balance has been breaking down for years. And a lot of the people who actually made Venice are gone now. The tech money that flooded in with Silicon Beach, Snap, Google, and others that set up operations nearby pushed home values to a median of over $2 million. $2 million in a neighborhood like Venice that used to be one of the more accessible communities in Los Angeles on the coast. For every sleek, modern, new construction residence that went up, a longtime renter got a notice to move out. The artists who built the mural culture, the working families who had been there for a generation, many of them can no longer afford to live in the neighborhood that they created themselves. Venice also became one of the most visible flashpoints of LA's homelessness crisis. The boardwalk encampments drew national interest. Rand Corporation tracked the unsheltered population here very closely, and there's been real progress. There was a 22% drop in the unsheltered population in 2024, but years of visible crisis changed the lived experience of the neighborhood in ways that will not just reverse overnight. So where did the longtime Venice residents go? Most moved south into the South Bay, El Segundo, Manhattan Beach, Redondo Beach, close enough to still feel the coastal living, but with a different quality of daily life. Others landed in Culver City, which has absorbed a lot of the creative community that Venice sheltered for so many generations. Venice isn't gone, but it's a much different place than it was 10 years ago, and the numbers reflect that. Neighborhood number 4, Koreatown. Over 100,000 people in 3 square miles, right in the center of Los Angeles. One of the most densely populated neighborhoods in the entire United States. The food is legendary. The nightlife goes until sunrise. The energy is unlike anywhere else in the city. For a long time, Koreatown was the entry point in Los Angeles for a huge number of people. More centrally located than the West Side, more accessible than Silver Lake was becoming, full of community and culture, the kind of neighborhood where you could actually afford to live and feel like you belong to something real. But a lot of those same people are leaving now. And it really comes down to a math problem that's getting harder and harder to solve. About 60% of Koreatown residents earn under $50,000 a year. Koreatown rents are not $50,000 a year rents anymore. When you're spending half of your income just to be able to hold on to your apartment, something eventually gives. Crime is also a documented factor here. Koreatown ranks in the 19th percentile for safety nationally, meaning it's safer than fewer than 1 in 5 neighborhoods across the country. For families thinking about raising kids here, that's a real factor that is coming into play. A former K-Town resident, interviewed earlier this year, described paying over $4,000 a month for rent in her apartment while experiencing visible drug use right outside her door every single day. She and her husband eventually made the call to leave. Her family still lives there. It wasn't a clean decision. It was a very hard one. So where are the K-Town residents going? A lot of K-Town residents are heading east into San Gabriel Valley, Alhambra, Monterey Park, Rosemead, cities where they can find more space, lower rents, and still be close enough to stay connected to the community that they love. Others are going further out into the Inland Empire, where the same income stretches significantly further. Neighborhood number 5, Pacific Palisades and Altadena. And here's number 5. This is the one I told you would be different. Unlike everything else on this list, the people leaving here didn't make a cost of living calculation. They didn't weigh rent against salary or gradually decide that the neighborhood no longer made sense for their life. They left because in January of 2025, their homes burned down. Pacific Palisades and Altadena. The Palisades fire destroyed 6,837 properties. The Eaton fire in Altadena, just days later, impacted more than 15,000 households and wiped out nearly half of the homes within the fire perimeter. The California Department of Finance confirmed that these fires were a direct contributing factor to Los Angeles losing 64,000 residents in 2025 alone. As of May 2026, more than a year later, 2/3 of the people displaced from both communities are still not home. I know this very well because as I've documented in the past, I've been building 2 homes side by side in Altadena for some wonderful clients that I have. And every day that I spend there, I see the construction going on, but there's far more lots that have no construction going on than there is nearing completion. In the Palisades, the decision of whether to come back is often a financial one. Many homeowners were heavily underinsured, and the claims process has been described by family after family as a second disaster. Slow, demoralizing, exhausting. Josh Altman, one of the most active real estate agents in the specific market, has said publicly that he believes 65 to 70% of Palisades families are not returning. Kids have enrolled in new schools. Families have found new rhythms. With the rebuild timeline measured in years, those rhythms tend to become permanent. So where are the Palisades residents going within LA? The data shows many of them landing in Brentwood, Santa Monica, and Lower Bel Air, close to what they knew on land that didn't burn. Some have gone up to Malibu, so the community is scattered, but most of it is still in Los Angeles. Altadena is a harder story to tell. It was one of the last authentically diverse, multi-generational communities close to the city. Not a flashy neighborhood, just real. Families who had been there for decades, a place with genuine roots and a character that you couldn't engineer. A Pasadena City Council member said it plainly: half of Altadena was depopulated overnight. For a large portion of that community, renters, lower income families, people with no insurance payout waiting for them, there's no clear path back. As of early 2026, 7 out of 10 Altadena homeowners haven't taken a single step towards rebuilding the home that they lost. No permit filed, no lot listed, nothing. Many have settled in neighboring Pasadena, Monrovia, Arcadia, close enough to feel tethered to what they have, but still not home. These are not people who chose to leave Los Angeles. That's what makes this one completely different than every other neighborhood on this list. This isn't a cost calculation. This is loss. And whether those communities come back to the communities that they once were is the most important question this city is going to be asking themselves for the next decade. In closing, I want to say, look, people are leaving parts of this city. That's real, and the data backs it up. But the bigger story is that most of them are not leaving Los Angeles altogether. Back in 2021 and 2022, a lot of people did leave for places like Texas and other states where remote work made everything feel possible. But what the data shows now is different. The greater Los Angeles metro area actually grew in 2025 and into 2026. The people who left the county moved to Riverside, the Inland Empire, the San Gabriel Valley, a lot more affordable version with close proximity to Los Angeles. And some of them are already looking at coming back. LA's domestic outflow improved by roughly 21,000 people year over year. Neighborhoods like Glendale, Burbank, Pasadena, and the South Bay are still drawing buyers who want the LA life, and they're finding it. The Palisades will be rebuilt. Altadena will come back. Downtown has a real future ahead. And for buyers paying attention right now, this market in 2026 looks genuinely different than 2021. Some of the most desirable areas in LA have a lot more flexibility than they had during the COVID pandemic years. If you've been sitting on the sidelines, now is the right time to have a conversation. Drop in the comments below what neighborhood you're in right now. I read every single one of your comments. And as always, I'm Eddie Fallah, your luxury real estate agent right here in Los Angeles, bringing you an on-the-ground view to life in the city and what's going on in each specific neighborhood. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, reach out to me. My contact information is in the description below, and I'm always happy to have a genuine conversation. I'll see you guys on the next video.